Now we come to the good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of providing an opportunity to the public to express themselves on school-related matters of concern to the residents of East Brunswick, to allow for a fair and orderly public comment period. Individual comments are limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public are reminded that this is a public televised meeting of the Board of Education and to protect the privacy of all students and staff. Concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Is there anybody who wishes to address the board? Please come forward to the microphone. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record, thank you.
I'm Dana Winston. I live at 44 Fresh Ponds Road. Good evening, board. I'm Dana Winston. I'm a founding member of EB for Safe Schools. We're a group of students, parents, and non-parents who came together after Parkland to address what could be done locally to help our community safeguard our children. We're here tonight to introduce ourselves formally to you. We thank Dr. Valesky for his presence at the township's recent vigil and for his moving speech. And we look forward to being more involved with you in the future and are grateful for recent steps you've taken to help keep our children safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to address the board? Again, please state your name and address to the record. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Tim O'Neill. I live at 15 Carter Road. I'm here to express some concerns that I have about the stationing of a police officer inside the schools. I completely understand where the Board of Ed is coming from, but I feel the need to express my concerns. To start with, I was here last meeting to speak about how fantastic, in my experience, the security already was in this district. And to paint a clearer picture of that, at Bound Monroe, where my son goes to school, we have 4 phenomenal security guards already, Mr. Kevin, Mr. Otis, Mr. Dan, and Mr. Mike. They have great relationships with all of the kids, and due to the tools that the board has put at their disposal, they really know everything that goes on, not just within the school, but anywhere in the surrounding property. I can tell you that as soon as I pull in my car, they know that I'm there by my car. I've been identified before I ever park. If I'm coming through the back path, there is a security guard who has eyes on me 20 yards before I set foot on the property. And that makes me feel very comfortable having my son in that school. That being said, one of my concerns is the funding, which was mentioned. I know that in education, whenever something new is getting funded, especially mid-year, that funding is coming from somewhere else. I wouldn't want the funding for this initiative to come out of the classrooms, obviously, or Mrs. Blaylock's programs, and I certainly wouldn't want it to mean a rollback in the existing security measures that were already in place. The other concern that I have, and I don't want this to be taken as having any concerns about the East Brunswick police officers, who are phenomenal, have a role in our schools and always have, as was mentioned earlier. But whenever a gun is brought into a situation where there isn't a gun, there's a possibility that something bad will happen as a result of that. So with these officers, armed officers, stationed in the schools, I hope that the district has very clear parameters for what the responsibilities are and aren't. If you do some research, there have been multiple incidents in schools throughout the country, going back before the past 2 weeks, where there were officers in situations where they were breaking up fights or just amongst crowds of students where things went wrong. And I just hope that the district will give very clear parameters for what situations the officers should be dealing with and what should be left for the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you mind if I respond?
No, I absolutely would like you to. Thank you.
Some very valid points were raised, and so I think it's appropriate to answer the questions for the entire community. The money that we are allocating toward the East Brunswick police officers for the balance of this year is coming directly from savings we generated from not filling 2 administrative positions at the beginning of this school year. We had 2 vacancies that lasted for more than half the year. One of those positions was recently filled, and we still have a vacancy. So there's absolutely no impact to the curriculum or instructional environment for students. We have no plans to change the scope or responsibility of our existing security force. They are essential elements to our security plan, and the relationships you spoke of are so important with our students. They have gotten to know them, and we fully expect that the East Brunswick police officers will fully integrate into that environment as well. And I've seen that personally after visiting schools, how quickly they've developed immediate relationships with students, walking them to class, having conversations. So I think that's going to be very positive. And Chief Conroy, Captain Zebro, myself, and the administrative staff have had conversations about parameters and about division of responsibilities. And Paul Nataluccio, who is on our staff and heads the security force, is always in an active conversation with his security team and security leads. He has frequent meetings with them. So we have defined areas of responsibility. And obviously, if there's something illegal that's happening or something gets to the extent that the building administration requires assistance outside of the existing school security officer scope, that officer is there to assist and immediately there. And one of the things that this does for us is it does put additional officers in close proximity to all of our schools, so they can respond to other schools if needed, even though their response from the township was already phenomenal. This just tightens that up a little bit more. So I hope that answers some of your questions.
Okay, sir. Mr. Corton. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you very much.
My name is Abraham Corton. I've been living in this town for 46 years. I take a lot of pride in the things I do. A lot of people don't understand me, but I get facts. That's important. Since Chief Conroy has been the chief of police, our police department has evolved into a much better service. I am not here. He's a great police chief, and I know him. I have a good relationship. I'm not here to dispute or question the East Brunswick Police Department or their expertise, because I know each officer very well. However, you employ 71 guards who are retired police officers who, according to Senate Bill number S2983, passed September 15th, 2016, allowing to put armed guards, retired police officers in each school if they qualify. The word is if. Now, I went and did some investigation with my state senate. There's a special law enforcement officer, class 3, that allows them to be armed in your schools, okay? If they meet these requirements. Most of it is under 65, mental exam, physical exam, investigation of their backgrounds. Now, I want to tell you something. I know Paul Nataluccio for about 25 years. He has SWAT training, FBI training. He wouldn't have been hired by you if you didn't feel he was about the best in this to hire. Okay. Now, I know a lot of your security guards personally. I speak to them. You could hire, I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it, but you could hire regular police officers. That's a good idea. But don't forget one thing. You have 71 police officers that are retired cops in your schools right now. By law and by the Senate Bill Class 3 Law Enforcement Officer Special, they're legally allowed to carry a weapon. And why is that important? Because they're within the school. They know all the kids. The kids come to them. They tell them about their problem. They tell them about their lives. They tell them about everything. They're in the school. Now, you're paying 71 guys, and maybe some women, $20 to $25 an hour, and they're allowed to carry a weapon. Why don't you use them in the schools along with the East Brunswick Police Department. Now, I want to tell you this. I believe in something very strongly. The future belongs to those who change it, not who live with status quo. I have been doing research into school shootings since Columbine. It hurts me. My kids are not in school. I've had meetings with Victor, Lou, your assistant, Paul Lucio, whatever it is, for 2 years now. My kids aren't here. It's your kids. It's everybody's kids. To me, kids, I love kids. I love cats and dogs. And what's going on in this country with this AR-15, you are sitting around and letting your politicians take money from the NRA to allow people to run around with these guns when Clinton banned them, and when the Republicans came in, they let the ban expire. So it's all your fault. Now, I came up with a very good idea. And I told Victor about this. You have a president of all the PTAs in East Brunswick. Get them all together, have a meeting, make a unity out of them. There's 600 school districts in New Jersey. Contact them, become one voice. Now, these kids in Florida are making an impact. Okay? Now, another thing. This book, A Tribe Apart, by Patricia Hearst, was researched before Columbine. It's a breakthrough portrait of adolescent culture. It is here, not in the pages of dry psychology books, where parents and educators will find the secret, painful truths hidden in modern-day adolescence. Now, I said to Victor, you can buy this on Amazon for $1.19. It allows you to have a better understanding of the adolescent mind, which is living in a really weird time in our planet that you didn't live in. These kids are on the internet bullying each other. You don't know about this. But I know that Paul has set up a system where his officers get information about troubled kids. And I figured things out very well. But I'm concerned about your security, okay? An AK-47 or an AR-15 could take out this whole room in about 5 minutes. Everybody in it and every wall. But you're allowing our government to let these guns exist? So we're all to blame. Now, this book is a great book for every teacher to have, because they will understand how they teach an adolescent mind, which is a dark abyss. It's good for every parent to understand their child. Now, I don't know what I could do in this community, but I've taken 2 years of my life to meet with Victor, and 2 meetings, the chief of police was there. Huh. What do I do with this? The chief of police was there,
Pay for it.
and I am really...
1 minute.
Yeah, okay, 1 minute. Is that 30 seconds or 60? That's 60, okay. You have a responsibility to do 2 things on the Board of Ed. Educate the children to the best of your ability and provide a safe environment. Now, I want to, well, how come our Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms? Why don't we have an amendment guaranteeing that children will be safe in our schools? This government is just allowing people to get killed, and they don't care. Because they take money from the NRA. That's all they do. This book, if you got a kid, buy it. A Tribe Apart, Patricia Hearst,
15
H-U-R-S-C-H, and it's a journey into the heart of an American adolescent. This is important. By the way, Paul, not Alicio has it. He read it. He's taking notes. He loves it.
Mr.
Paul,
Corton.
John Kopko
Time.
bought it. It's important. Give it to each teacher. That way they better understand the kids that they're teaching in that crazy adolescent world.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to address the board? No one else? Then I will close the public portion. I'd like to again thank Chief Conroy, Mrs. Blaylock for coming, sharing our programs, Paul, your part, for everybody's part, and for everybody, as Mr. Corton said, who loves our children. Thank you.